In today's episode, we are covering a lot of things. We are going to check what are your duties gonna be if you are opening the door of SOC for the first time, and we are going to hear everything from a manager point of view. Yes, guys, so in this episode, we have a special guest joining us today. JatinderPal Singh will join us today in this session. He has a decade of experience in this industry. He has been in this industry for 15 long years. He has done several roles around security, be it SecOps, be it product security, be it pen testing, SOC manager, threat hunt, everything he has done in this long 15 years. Without doing any further delay, let's jump into the session. Hey everyone, so finally we are going live. I have Jatin with me. Hey Jatin, how is
Hey
going?
everyone,
So
life's good.
so it's like almost like 3 weeks now. So we have been planning to get this off my chest. So and back to back incident, and I lost my schedule for 1 week for that reason. And getting Jatin for like 30 minute slot is also is a huge task. So let me introduce first himself. So he is actually a beast in information security, almost over a decade of experience in this area, and he has done everything. So whatever you ask, he has done everything, every role in this industry. So literally you can ask anything for him. So if you have any comments specialized for this section, feel free to post that in the comment area. So we'll be happy to share your feedback, everything. So let's begin. So Jatin, share our folks like how you've been landed in this industry, your experience so far. Like it's almost like 15 years, right?
Absolutely, Jatin. Yes. First of all, it's awesome to be here chatting to you on this particular medium. So we've been working together for a better part of 5 years now.
Yeah.
I still remember when I interviewed you back in what 2015, 2016 was it?
Uh, yeah, around that. Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember I still actually remember your interview pretty well. You were one of a kind back then itself. It was pretty visible that you had someone who really had the hunger to do well in InfoSec.
Mhm.
I remember pretty well. I asked you 5 questions. I don't really think you answered any of those five the way I expected you to, but then you had that thirst. It was pretty visible that someday you were gonna go really big in your field.
Mhm.
So it's great to have had that journey with you and and to be talking to you here today.
Nice. So, Jatin, how do you see like your journey for like 15 over years? So we are still like learning, we are still clodding. So I have like nearly about 6 years now, but you have crossed almost a decade in this industry. So how do you
I have.
share your experience?
It's so I mean, I've actually never really thought about it from that context, but now looking back and connecting the dots, though it does feel like a nice journey for the last 15 years. But that's just because I'm looking back and connecting the dots. So
Hmm.
I started off as this cocky ethical hacker, probably
Yeah.
around 18 years back, while I was doing my bachelor's. Of
Hmm.
course, those days it was all about fun and just trying to show off in front of your peers or in front of your classmates. So infosec or hacking was all about that back then.
Yeah.
But then I think I was lucky enough to have met the right people at the right time who actually introduced me to the infosec part of the art industry. I did my bachelor's in computer science. Then I did my master's in systems and network security from the University of Glamorgan, that's in UK,
Hmm.
and that sort of opened the doors for me into infosec. I really haven't looked behind since. I started off as a I started off as an application pen tester for this Australian bank called ANZ.
Okay.
Australia and New Zealand banking group. Spent the first about 10 years of my life, of my professional life on the offensive side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 5 6 years I've been on the defensive side of things. So it's been a very natural progression for me, and I was just lucky, I would say, to have played the sort of various roles that I've played in the
Mm-hmm.
infosec industry so far. I've managed to work with some great names and some awesome teams,
Mm-hmm.
and now, whenever I look back at it, I think it was just pure luck that I met the right people at the right time, progressed into the perfect roles, and I've had a really amazing learning curve throughout.
Awesome, awesome. And guys, I'd like to say Jatin is one of those person. He has an old timer OACP, so the actual OACP, and he has like his name in Hall of Fame, like almost like renowned resources, maybe Google, then Uber, then I think few of a name, right, Jatin? So
I probably have around 100 odd Hall of Fames, but then
oh, awesome.
this is back in the day when Hall of Fames was one of the ways of actually progressing your careers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure I started getting on Hall of Fame just for the just for the fun of it initially, and then I quickly realized that that actually opened a lot of doors for me.
I understood.
And yeah, I mean, again, just to put it out there, I had never planned to start doing Hall of Fame, so there was no proper planning behind it, but it was fun. I enjoyed doing it, and it kept opening doors after doors for me.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. So
Okay, Jatin. So, from my experience, what I have seen, people tend to become hacker, uh, like hell nowadays. Now, how do you see what actually is like feasible, or how to get crack in this industry? Either you need to be a hacker, or like learn blue teaming, or be it in the middle somewhere, like blue teaming, red teaming in the middle.
Mhm. So I believe when it comes to cracking into this field or being an infosec professional, you should go with what actually interests you the most. You could start up from the offensive side as a hacker, application security, red teamer, or whatever it is, whatever that actually interests you, and you'll do equally well if you even start straight away as a blue teamer. You'll do equally well in the industry then too. So it's more important that you start off with something that really interests you, that really catches your eye, uh,
Mhm.
really ignites that passion in you. I think that's what's important, and that's gonna take you take you further. And you could look at it from both aspects, right? Now, I started off my career on the offensive side of things, and I feel that actually makes me understand the defensive side of field of infosec really well then. But then I've equally seen people who have never been on the offensive side of things. They've actually purely come from programming background. They've done equally well too, or in some cases even better than guys like me. So I strongly believe there is no right or wrong way of getting into Earth InfoSec. So pick whatever excites you the most, whatever keeps you awake at night, whatever ignites your passion, and then that's surely going to take you all the way.
Yeah, yeah. And one more thing I'd like to highlight, if you want to be in InfoSec, you need to get into habit to keep like be awake at night. Doesn't matter whether you are red team or blue team.
Yeah, I think that's sort of become the de facto standard of being in InfoSec. More so because I mean we are really overstressed and overworked right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Most of us in InfoSec are overworked.
Hmm.
So yeah, you will have long nights, especially in the
Correct.
early part of your career.
Right.
Now for guys like me who have people like you and who build really strong teams, life gets easier after a while. But then you've got to go through the grind. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, so how do you think like InfoSec industry is going towards now? Because you have seen a lot of phases like in this industry, and like technology
Mhm.
keeps on changing. So what do you think currently the trending as like InfoSec industry?
So, from my experiences, there's a new trend every 2 or 3 years, right? When I started off in 2005, I started off in application security. Back then, I remember everyone told me that AppSec was not the thing to get into. You should
Mhm.
probably get into IDS and network security. That was the in thing back then.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, there are trends and things keep changing, or probably you you see something new, a new influx in the industry every 2 to 3 years for sure. The current trends are, of course, around cloud and around automation. So as they say, the cloud is your mother and automation is your brother these days. That's how
Yeah,
the industry is working.
absolutely.
Especially if you talk in terms of the jobs which are available right now. Now our team's hiring for cloud experts and automation experts all the time. Of
Yeah,
course, there
yeah.
are things like AI and ML, but then
Mhm.
I'm not really betting big time on that right now. So
Mhm.
I truly believe cloud and automation
Mhm.
uh, are the two fundamental skills in the industry right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. So I tend to agree with you. So like things are getting changed nowadays. Now what I have been working maybe like 5 years before, now I think the total plate has been changed totally. Like it's like 180-degree around, 180-degree apart. So tend to agree with you. Now
Yep.
since we are like making this total series of focusing like how to get enter into cybersecurity as maybe like L1, L2
Mhm.
job. So I have seen many people like they tell actually you can't be in SOC or you cannot get a SOC role until unless you work actually maybe in desktop support or maybe anything like support role. So is that true?
Yeah, absolutely not. There are enough jobs in InfoSec, there are enough jobs in SOC, there are enough jobs in every level of the SOC. So
Mhm.
I truly don't believe in the fact that there is only a specific way of actually getting into an L1 or an L2 role. But then I mean, you also know pretty well that I think the typical L1, L2, L3 job profiles in the SOC is probably a thing of the past now. So
Yeah,
I mean, now if you look at our team itself, we don't really have a differentiation between L1, L2, and L3. And our
exactly.
expectation is
Yeah.
that anything that is a L1 job needs to be automated, and we guys
Mm.
focus on adding value on top of it. So
Mm.
I mean, we've got to break out of that a traditional mindset of focusing on an L1 or an L2 or an L3 sort of a role. As I mentioned earlier, you've got to pick the core skills which are in demand right now.
Mhm.
From a SOC perspective, it's again around cloud security, it's around automation, it's around trying to make the mundane tasks simpler and faster. So if you have those sort of skills, you will surely break into a SOC.
Mm, absolutely, absolutely. So you actually literally answered me my next core skill like you could look into for a candidate. A candidate should must have that skill.
And so let me replay your interview back to you, Nathan. So when I interviewed you, 6 years back, you were back then L1 analyst
Yeah,
working with Wipro, right?
correct. Yeah, I was at Wipro at that time.
Yeah. So um, yeah. So when I interviewed you, I remember asking you 5 to 6 questions. Most of them were actually not to test your technical skills, but they were more to test what sort of approach you have towards solving a typical SOC issue or a typical SOC sort of a problem. So I think these days it's more about having the right mindset, uh,
Mm,
that hunger for trying to investigate or trying to get to the crux of a problem, crux of a issue, uh, the logical mindset. I think those sort of skills are what I look at when I'm trying to interview someone. 6 years back, 8 years back, when I was probably interviewing people, I try to interview if he knew log forensics or if he knew uh, system forensics or if he knew web server forensics. Uh, so I think in the last 6 years, I've seen my interview style change so much because the way we approach SOC, the way we approach incident response right now isn't really the same the way it was 6 years back. So for me now, I think the key skills are that whomever I'm speaking to should have a really strong analytical mind, should have the urge or the hunger to solve problems, get to the crux
Right.
of things.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
technical I mean, especially if you're hiring for a fresher or someone with not a lot of experience, I'd look more at attitude, skill than at the technical ability of the person. Of course,
Exactly.
now for instance, the way we are rolling out a new SIM for a cloud. So when you're rolling out specific projects like that, that's when you look out specific skills, someone who's done that earlier or who has the mindset to automate and do more than what is done in the past. That's when you start looking at specific skills. But I think otherwise, generally, I'm more happy to hire for attitude than for technical skills.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, absolutely agree with you. So on the most of the points. So yeah, so it's like you have to be in a position that whether you are getting or you are applying for a job role or like I have seen many of the job like advertisement or something. So organization tend to fill up that with every other skill that might not be required or might not be absolutely relevant to that. So that's a kind of message to the recruiters also, like the
True.
managing who actually the managing position for that, just to be very specific on the job role, until unless otherwise you will get a lot of resumes and you won't be able to fill up that role, like it will be a hectic job.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. I think uh, some of the JDs out there are absolutely ridiculous these days.
Hmm.
Uh, they they expect a person to know incident response. They expect him or her to know forensics. They expect him or her to know automation, programming, scripting.
Everything.
All of that in one single person is going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so yeah, go on, Arjun.
So if you are actually interested to something to learn in the cybersecurity, so there are a lot of scope, and be specific on the skill set what actually tends to give you that kick. So you always need not to learn, like you need not to be like 100%, 100% everything. That it's not possible. Okay, so if you are applying for that job role, so I would say don't go that and don't go there. So look for the specific
Mm-hmm.
skill set that actually motivates.
Right, absolutely. And if you so now this is the third SOC team that I'm working in or I'm managing. Uh, the the SOC that we stood up around 7 years back. That was the first SOC I ever worked with. So there we had a ratio of around 15 incident response engineers to one SIM engineer or to
Oh.
one SOC engineer basically. And now in our current team, it's exactly the other way around. We probably have three SOC engineers to one incident response analyst. So that's the
Mm,
sort of change which is taken place in the last 6 to 8 years. Uh,
exactly.
so yeah, and there's a typical mindset that SOC is all about incident response or forensics. And I think, of course, incident response and forensics are the foundation of a SOC.
Mm,
But then a lot more focus is right now on engineering and automation and how to get all your tools to work together, talk to each other, automate your detect as much of response as possible. And hence, you actually end up spending a lot of time on engineering than just on doing incident response. And you've got to be aware of that when you're trying to get into a SOC. It's not just incident response. There's so much more that you can pick up in a SOC, learn in a SOC, which can help you uh, get that first step into a SOC. So I
exactly.
so if if I'm hiring a fresher and if I find someone who's really good at scripting automation, I'll hire him before uh, an incident response guy. So if I have two fresher, one guy is amazing at scripting automation, one guy knows the basic of IR, I'd probably hire the scripting or the automation guy first.
Yeah, absolutely. So one more thing that I'd like to say when applying for a job role or job set, do you prefer more like people having proper certification or like the exact experience or the technical ability to shine on that field?
There are 10 people have 10 different opinions on this particular question. It's always been a controversial question, but I have never hired for certification. I myself don't have many certifications except OSCP, and even that was
Mm.
actually just for fun. I didn't really feel that was a certification at all. So I've never looked at certifications while hiring anyone. I probably even ignore the certification column in someone's resume completely.
Mm.
I believe more in referrals. Uh, I believe a lot in the sort of so the first thing I do when I see someone's resume is type the person's guy on LinkedIn and see uh,
Mm.
what's he been up to.
Mm.
What are the sort of issues that he's interested in? What does he talk about? What's his frame of mind? What does he post about? So that's the first frame of reference for me. Second is I like to talk to people who've actually worked with that person first, and I
Mm.
do all of this before I even interview the person.
Mm.
So I think networking. That's why especially in our infosec field, networking holds the highest regard much before certification. So I hire more based on that.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
So,
then yeah, I mean, when you are a fresher, certifications can get you the first foot in the door, but then I think they can't really take you much beyond that.
exactly. And nowadays also like I have seen a lot of like that like actually the fake certificate provider, so you just
True.
give them the money and they will give you
Mm,
the certificate. So that doesn't actually mean that you hold that particular skill. You might be at some level, you can crack the interview or you can like
mhm.
wear a mask and you can get the job, but ultimately you are gonna fail in that particular role if you don't have that skill, but you have the certificate.
Absolutely.
So that's gonna work. Okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I probably had respect for certification before it became an industry. And now certification in itself is an institute. It's an art industry. There are
Mm.
ways of cracking every certificate.
Mm.
Excuse me. So
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of faith on that. And I don't hire for cert. I don't hire. I've never hired someone just based on his certification.
Exactly. Exactly. So if someone actually start today, like preparing for actually infosec, maybe a SOC role, so how do you suggest them from where actually they should start? Do you like um, um, ask them to be more on social like LinkedIn, follow people, or like from actually where they can study? Because free resource is everywhere now, but to get the
Mhm.
actual resource for the actual skill set is very difficult. So how do you suggest them from where they start their study?
So if you're a fresher and you're trying to break into the SOC world, um, so of course, I mean, if you have offensive skills or defensive skills, it just makes it easier. There are quite a few certifications out there. You've got the SANS, and of course, SANS could be a little too expensive for a
Yeah.
for a fresher to go for. Um, I've, I think there are actually a couple of SOC institutes also, at least in India, that I know for, which actually give you sort of a diploma course, 6 months, one
Mm.
year, uh, uh, give you a real world feel of the SOC,
Mm.
basically enable you to then get placed into the industry. But apart
Mm.
from that, there are so many other free free resources, right? You've got so many labs out there. You've got hacking labs, you've got defense labs, you've got IR labs, you've got forensics labs. I think those are the best way to train and prepare. And most of these labs actually simulate real world incidents, real world problems. So I would say focus on doing as many labs as you can, and try to actually network and develop mentors in the industry. So mentors are who will take you forward. Uh, try to follow people whom you think are good in the industry, whom you can learn from. Follow them on LinkedIn. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Uh, I'm pretty sure there are not many people who will actually say no to you if you ask for mentorship. So be a little aggressive on that part. Reach out to people, get ideas, speak to people who've been in the industry for long, who've actually gone through the same path. It just makes it easier for you to then choose a path and then follow that path. But yeah, so do a lot of free labs, paid labs, and have a mentor.
Yeah, exactly. So three motto guys. So I think you have shortlisted now. And also, it is very important. Like LinkedIn is your digital CV right now nowadays. So if
Absolutely,
you're
absolutely. LinkedIn is your digital CV. It's extremely important to have the right and an active LinkedIn profile. I mean, your LinkedIn profile talks about what you are and what you do. So you've got to be really, really point on with your LinkedIn profile.
exactly. So I have seen like like some people. This is just for suggestion for everyone. So people reaching out to me and they ask me, "Hey Archan, are you having any like opening for that particular role?" And before replying them, I just see their LinkedIn profile and I don't see much of like event of interest that I can feel out from that guy looking. So it is very much important. Like whatever you are currently doing, you are interested in, try to be active, and there are special areas on that LinkedIn which you can focus on. So that is the way to get attracted to the recruiters and even the hiring managers also, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. And now I have a lot of freshers who reach out to me on LinkedIn. And the most common message and the most common mistake of most of these freshers are, "Hi Jatin, I'm so and so. This is my resume. Can you please hire me?" And that makes absolutely no sense at all, right? A much better approach is that, "Hi Jatin, this is my resume. Please go through it. Give me feedback on what can I improve so that I might be able to work in your team." That's
Yeah.
that's a much better way of starting a conversation, and you sort of give a feeling to the other person that, "I'm interested in working with you. Please tell me how can I work with you." That might get you much more answers than just blindly forwarding your resume to everyone out there on LinkedIn. So try to make a connection, try to talk to people, ask them what are their requirements, how can you better your profile, your resume, what more can you learn so that you might work with them. That's a much better way.
Exactly, exactly. And I won't take much time of your Jatin today. So maybe the last question from my side. And so maybe your last minute suggestion for them who actually want to crack as a fresher and want to crack their InfoSec journey. Your last minute suggestion for them.
So I mean, there are so many verticals in InfoSec right now, and there are newer verticals coming up every day. So I would say choose what you feel, what ignites your passion within the InfoSec world, and once you've chosen that path, then go all out, find all the resources you can, read about it, and find a mentor in that particular vertical or field. Find a mentor, stick on to it. I mean, you I mean you don't just need to stick on to one mentor. You might actually have 2 to 3 mentors at the same time. But then find mentors, take their help, improve your profile, learn more things.
Exactly, exactly. So awesome. Thanks, Jatin. So for having
Hey,
so
thanks,
this
Arjun.
like so it's like
It's
30
awesome
minutes
to
and
talk to you, Arjun, as always.
So okay. So see you, Jatin. Maybe so stick around, guys. So maybe we can have some more sessions. So give us feedback. How do you feel about this session? And you can catch Jatin anytime. So he's very active on LinkedIn, and you can check out my profile also. And also one thing I would like to suggest that if you are like want to be in InfoSec, you need to read a lot, right? So it's like kind of doctor's job, So they keep on reading and also
It
we
is
keep on reading, right? So at least like
absolutely. So I've been in InfoSec for around 15 years now. I still read a minimum of 50 to 100 blogs a day.
wow.
And the day I don't read 50 blogs, I've actually, I mean, then I'm one day behind of the rest of the industry there. So read, research all the time.
Exactly. So that's the mantra. Okay.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Good
Thanks,
talking to you, Arjun.
guys. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Whew, there are a lot of stuff, man. I got really tired. So, a lot of talk, and I really appreciate that Jatin finally came to my channel and expressed his thoughts and give actually a shade of light for you guys who actually wants to start their career in SecOps, especially in the SOC role. So that's enough, guys, for today. I hope you have enjoyed the series, and I'll catch you guys next time. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please click that button and give me a thumbs up so I get encouraged by your views, and feel free that comment box whatever queries, whatever suggestions you have. I'll guys catch you later.